Ladies and gentlemen, life has an odd way of convincing us that it is a race, a ceaseless sprint towards some imagined finish line where at last we will find fulfillment. We measure progress by milestones, accolades and possessions, believing that happiness lies just over the next horizon. But I ask you, have you noticed how the horizon keeps moving? This is the trap, the belief that who you are, here and now, is not enough, that there is some missing piece, some grand achievement or perfect state waiting for you in the future. You see, life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be lived. The moment you seek to conquer it, you separate yourself from its flow. Consider this. How often do we chase security only to find ourselves more anxious than before? We think that building walls will keep us safe, but in truth those walls imprison us. The tighter we hold on to certainty, the more fear we feel about losing it. This is the paradox of life. The more you seek to control it, the more it slips through your fingers. And then there is the ego, that clever storyteller within, whispering that you must always strive to be better, richer, stronger, more admired. But who exactly are you trying to impress? The world? Yourself? The ego's game is one you cannot win, for its measure of success is always shifting. But here's the secret. The trap dissolves the moment you stop playing the game. Step back and realize there is nowhere to go, nothing to prove, and nothing to become. The self you so desperately try to perfect is already whole. Life itself is not a ladder, but a dance. When you embrace the now, when you cease striving to fix what was never broken, something miraculous happens. You begin to see that the world is not against you, nor is it separate from you. You and the universe are one, inseparable process, waves on the same ocean. So don't fall for the trap. Don't let the illusions of fear, lack, or unworthiness pull you into their web. Look around you, right here, right now. There is no finish line. There is only the unfolding of this present moment, and it is enough. The illusion of getting somewhere is one of the most persistent traps of the human experience. It convinces us that life is a series of destinations, each one promising fulfillment, happiness, or meaning if we can just reach it. This mindset compels us to treat every moment as a stepping stone, something to be endured or rushed through on our way to the next big thing. But in doing so, we lose touch with the only thing that is real, the present moment. Think about it. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that life is a linear progression. We must graduate, find a job, achieve success, buy the house, earn the promotion, and eventually retire. Yet how many people reach these so-called destinations only to find that they are still unsatisfied? The moment you arrive at one goal, the mind creates a new one, whispering, this isn't it. Keep going. And so the cycle continues, an endless chase toward an ever-receding horizon. The truth is, there is no somewhere to get to. Life is not a journey with a final destination, but a dance, a series of steps, movements, and rhythms meant to be experienced in the now. When you focus solely on getting somewhere, you distract yourself from being fully present, from noticing the beauty, connection, and aliveness that exist right here. You miss the sunsets, the laughter, the small moments of stillness that make life vibrant and whole. Moreover, this illusion of getting somewhere implies that who you are right now is incomplete. It suggests that you need to become more, achieve more, or possess more in order to be worthy. But this is the great deception. You are not a project to be perfected. You are already whole. The idea of getting somewhere only serves to keep you disconnected from your own completeness. What would happen if you stopped running? If you paused and realized that this moment, yes, this one, with all its imperfections, is enough? You would see that life isn't about arriving, but about being. You would feel the richness of the present and understand that the destination you've been seeking has been within you all along. So, abandon the illusion, stop chasing the horizon, and instead let yourself rest in the here and now. It is in this presence that you will discover the peace, joy, and fulfillment you thought were waiting somewhere else. Fear arises when we mistakenly perceive ourselves as isolated beings cut off from the flow of life. This illusion of separateness creates a profound sense of vulnerability, as though we are small, fragile entities standing alone in a vast, unpredictable universe. In this state we see life as something that happens to us rather than something we are inherently a part of. And it is this illusion that becomes the root of our fears. Think of a river. Each drop of water flows effortlessly, carried by the current, never resisting where it is taken. Now imagine if a single drop of water decided it was separate from the river, if it believed it had to fight against the flow to maintain its own identity. That drop would be filled with tension, constantly fearing where the current might take it, uncertain of what lies ahead. But in reality, the drop is not separate. It is the river. Its fear arises only from forgetting this truth. Similarly, we are not separate from life. We are life itself. We are not observers standing apart from the universe, nor are we victims of its whims. Instead, we are participants in an interconnected dance of existence. But when we lose sight of this oneness, we begin to see ourselves as distinct from the whole, as something that must protect itself from external threats. This is where fear takes root. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. All of it stems from the belief that we are somehow apart from the infinite flow of life. Consider how this illusion plays out in daily life. We fear losing control because we believe we are the sole navigators of our destiny. We fear change because we see it as something imposed upon us by an external force. We fear the unknown because it feels like a void we must face alone. But if we truly understood that we are not separate from the flow of life, that we are the flow, these fears would dissolve. We would see that change is not something to resist, but a natural part of the process we belong to. We would recognize that the unknown is not a threat, but a blank canvas for infinite possibilities. When we remember our oneness with life, fear loses its grip. We stop clinging, resisting, and controlling, and instead we begin to trust. Trust that the same flow that carries the stars through the sky also carries us. Trust that we are not out of place or out of control, but exactly where we need to be. This trust does not mean life will always be easy, but it does mean that we can face it with courage, knowing we are never alone. So let go of the illusion. See yourself not as a fragment, but as the whole. When you do, you will find that fear is no longer the master of your mind. Instead, you will discover a deep and abiding peace, a serenity that comes from flowing with life rather than fighting against it. And in that flow, you will realize that you were never separate. You were always one with it all. The pursuit of material success, while enticing on the surface, often becomes a prison for the soul. It lures us with promises of fulfillment, security, and happiness, yet more often than not, it leaves us feeling restless, incomplete, and yearning for more. Why? Because the essence of the soul cannot be measured, possessed, or satisfied by things. And yet, so many of us fall into the trap of believing that accumulating wealth, status, or possessions will fill the void within. At its core, the chase for material success is rooted in the illusion that happiness is something external, something we must acquire or achieve. We tell ourselves, once I have the bigger house, the luxury car, the perfect job, or the overflowing bank account, then I will finally feel at peace. But the truth is, this peace never arrives. Each accomplishment only leads to another goal, another benchmark, another if only. The pursuit becomes an endless treadmill, and we find ourselves trapped in dissatisfaction, running faster and faster, but getting nowhere. The irony is that the more we accumulate, the heavier our burdens often become. With every new possession or milestone, there is fear of losing it, anxiety over maintaining it, and the relentless pressure to outdo ourselves or others. We begin to confuse our worth with what we own, believing that our value as individuals is tied to our achievements or the image we project. This mindset disconnects us from the deeper, more enduring sources of joy, love, connection, creativity, and the simple beauty of being alive. Material success is not inherently wrong, of course. It is natural to want comfort and security in life. But when the pursuit of material wealth becomes our primary focus, it can overshadow the things that truly nourish the soul. We may neglect relationships, ignore our inner desires, or suppress our need for meaning and purpose. We trade moments of genuine presence for the next big purchase or promotion, only to find that these victories feel hollow once attained. What we must realize is that material success is not the destination, it is merely a tool. Wealth, possessions, and accomplishments are not ends in themselves, but means to an end. They are meant to support us, to enhance our ability to live fully, not to define our existence. When we stop seeing them as the goal and start viewing them as resources for creating experiences, fostering connections, and expressing our true selves, we free ourselves from their grip. To break free from the prison of dissatisfaction, we must turn inward. Instead of asking, what can I acquire to make me happy, ask what is already within me that brings joy and peace. The soul craves presence, not possessions. It longs for meaning, not medals. And it thrives when we align with the flow of life, rather than chasing fleeting symbols of success. In truth, the greatest riches are found in the intangible, in moments of stillness, in acts of kindness, in the awe of a sunset, and in the quiet realization that you already have everything you truly need. When you stop defining success by what you own and start defining it by how fully you live, you will discover that the soul was never imprisoned at all. It was simply waiting for you to set it free. The very act of trying to fix life is rooted in the assumption that something is inherently wrong with it, that life as it is broken or incomplete. But this assumption is a false premise, born out of a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of existence. Life is not a problem to be solved, nor a machine in need of repair. It is a dynamic, ever-changing process that flows perfectly in its imperfection. Nature can ever right, and when we believe that life is broken, We adopt a mindset of constant struggle. We see obstacles as enemies to be conquered, challenges as evidence that something is wrong, and moments of discomfort as indicators of failure. This mindset leads us to spend our days trying to mold life into an idealized version of how we think it should be, rather than appreciating it for what it is. We begin to view ourselves as separate from life, standing outside of its flow, attempting to control or fix something that was never truly broken. But life does not operate on our rigid definitions of perfection. It is messy, unpredictable, and full of paradoxes. It contains joy and sorrow, order and chaos, creation and destruction, all interwoven into a harmonious whole. To declare life broken is to miss the point entirely. It is like looking at a river and deciding it flows incorrectly, or staring at a forest and believing the fallen leaves ruin its beauty. The solar apartment, life is not broken, it is simply unfolding, moment by moment, exactly as it is meant to. The desire to fix life often stems from our discomfort with uncertainty and change. We cling to the illusion that if we can just arrange everything perfectly, we will finally achieve peace and control. But peace does not come from imposing our will on life, it comes from surrendering to its flow. When we accept that life is not meant to fit into our narrow expectations, we free ourselves from the exhausting task of trying to fix it. We begin to see that the challenges and imperfections are not flaws, but essential parts of the greater tapestry. This does not mean we should be passive or indifferent. There is a difference between trying to fix life and participating in its evolution. Growth, creativity, and transformation are all natural aspects of life's flow, but these arise from a place of harmony, not resistance. When we align with the rhythm of life rather than fighting against it, our actions become an expression of that alignment. We do not fix life, we dance with it. So let go of the notion that life is broken. Let go of the belief that you must constantly strive to make it better, safer, or more controlled. Instead, see life for what it truly is, a vast, unfolding mystery that contains everything you need for growth, understanding, and joy. Embrace the uncertainty, the imperfections, and the surprises. In doing so, you will discover that life was never broken. It was only your perspective that needed shifting. And in that shift, you will find peace, not because life is fixed, but because you realize it was whole all along. Desiring security often creates the very instability we fear, because the relentless pursuit of safety is rooted in a misunderstanding of life's nature. Security, as we typically imagine it, is the desire to lock life into a predictable, unchanging state where all threats are eliminated and all uncertainties are resolved. Yet life, by its very nature, is fluid, dynamic, and ever-evolving. When we resist this truth, striving to secure ourselves against every possible risk, we inadvertently create tension, fear, and instability within ourselves. Think of a tightrope walker. The more they fixate on avoiding a fall, the more rigid and unsteady they become. Their fear of instability causes them to grip too tightly, lose their balance, and falter. Paradoxically, it is not the constant quest for security that keeps them steady, but their ability to relax, trust the rope, and move fluidly with the shifting forces. Similarly in life, the obsessive desire to secure ourselves against uncertainty disrupts the very equilibrium we seek. It pulls us out of the present moment and into an anxious projection of what-ifs. When we cling to security, we often seek to build walls around ourselves. Financial safeguards, unchanging routines, fixed beliefs, or controlled relationships. But these walls do not truly protect us. Instead, they confine us. They disconnect us from the spontaneity and vibrancy of life. Moreover, life inevitably finds a way to challenge these artificial constructs, for the only constant in existence is change. The more we resist change in an effort to feel secure, the more painful and destabilizing it becomes when that change arrives. Ironically, the pursuit of security also amplifies our sense of fear. When we focus on securing ourselves against every potential threat, we magnify our awareness of those threats. We become hypervigilant, scanning for risks, imagining worst-case scenarios, and living in a perpetual state of unease. The more we crave control, the more apparent it becomes how little control we truly have. This fuels a cycle of anxiety. The harder we grasp for security, the more elusive it feels. True stability cannot come from the outside. It cannot be achieved by accumulating possessions, controlling circumstances, or insulating ourselves from uncertainty. Instead, it arises from within, a deep, unshakable trust in life itself. When we accept that life is inherently unpredictable and that we are part of its flow, we find a stability that transcends. It is not the kind of security that promises nothing will ever go wrong. It is the kind that gives us the courage to face whatever comes with grace and resilience. This inner stability requires a shift in perspective. Rather than resisting uncertainty, we learn to embrace it. Rather than fearing instability, we come to see it as a natural part of life's dance. When we stop clinging to the illusion of control, we discover a profound sense of freedom. We realize that the foundation we were searching for was never outside us. It was the quiet confidence that we can adapt, grow, and thrive, no matter what life brings. So let go of the need to secure yourself against life. Embrace its unpredictable rhythms, its shifting tides, and its infinite possibilities. In doing so, you will find that very instability you feared becomes the source of your greatest strength and peace. You will learn that true security lies not in resisting life, but in trusting it completely. Clinging to labels and identities hides the infinite nature of who you are, because it reduces the vastness of your being into narrow, fixed categories. When we define ourselves by roles, titles, or external characteristics, whether it's a profession, a social status, a nationality, or even a belief system, we create a mental box around our identity. Within this box we feel safe and certain, but we also limit ourselves to what the label represents, so that we are limited in our life and purpose in labels and names. Too much safety. In doing so, we lose sight of the boundless, ever-changing essence of who we truly are. Labels are inherently limiting.